Oh, hey, fellow plant people. Welcome back. This is going to be part one of my plant setup in my apartment, my plant tour, what I have going on as of today. Tonight is February 7th. And I should, full disclaimer, filmed part one of my tour about a week ago. I filmed it last weekend. But I realized that the audio sucked, so I'm doing this. I'm doing a voiceover. Hopefully it's a little bit better. I have wine, so it might be a little bit more entertaining than it would have been. I also am drinking wine out of this amazing wine glass with pine needles on it. It's fantastic. Super excited about this. So if I'm a little loopy, that's why. I have wine and it's Friday night. It's not even 9 o'clock here. I'm old. It was a long week. I'm drinking wine in my apartment by myself, and I am. So this is going to be primarily my living space, my main living space, my living room, my office workstation, and then part of my dining room and kitchen, which is right behind me. So I am excited to show you. I hope you enjoy. Buckle up. We're about to see some plants. Okay, this is my front door. We are entering my apartment. There is my hound dog. Such a good girl. So when you first enter, this is kind of what you see. This is part of my office area, workspace area, and I have this interesting half wall that separates my office and my dining space, which that breakfast bar back there is something I built. So this is kind of a space where I put a lot of my plants that either do okay in lower light and or are recuperating in kind of a plant hospital type setup. I also have this cool little Zen, it's not really a Zen Buddhist garden, tabletop garden. That's the vibe I was going for. I'm not sure. It's not done yet. But it has a lot of peperomia and some lower light plants. There's my spider plant. I have a couple of newer Hoya that are kind of recuperating. They weren't doing so hot, so I put them under this grow light here. This guy now has new growth, my Hoya cumingiana, which is awesome. And that Hoya australis is a relatively new one I featured on my unboxing from Gabriella Plants. It's doing much better now that I have kind of switched up the soil a little bit. This is my pride and joy, my Hoya polyneura. I love it so much. It goes back under the glass. There we go. So this is my banana plant, which is quickly outgrowing his terrarium there. I have to find a bigger one. I haven't been able to find one bigger than this. I don't know how many gallons this one is. It's the biggest one I could find. I have to find a bigger one. And then this guy, this is my Hoya imbricata. It's a cutting, so I have it rooting in sphagnum moss on top of some damp perlite in this enclosed terrarium. Fingers crossed for that guy. Then this is my Hoya deckii, which is kind of recuperating. It hasn't been doing so great. I had to end up cutting out a lot of the roots, so I'm trying to reroot it in the terrarium. That is my Dischidia ovata that I featured on a previous video, and then I have my fire flash plant, which is a highly underrated plant, I would say. The two hanging plants I have in this area, I have two aroids. This is my Scindapsus pictus argyrius, and then the other one that I had on the other side was my exotica. They're both doing pretty well here. Lower light is fine for them. This is kind of the flip side. So the other view. This is my breakfast bar. I'm so proud of this thing. I constructed that by myself with a little help from my father, which is awesome. Just kidding, he did it all. I just designed it. So this is my little propagation station here. I have some Hoya cuttings rooting, a piece of that australis. This guy was pretty sick. The two specifically on the left, I'm trying to salvage some of my Hoyas that weren't doing so well. The roots were kind of dying out. So I have a Chelsea there. I have Carnosa compacta there, and then that Dischidia cutting. It's a variegated string of Nichols Dischidia, which I'm hopeful for. The other cuttings that are on this section, I took off main or mother plants. So I took cuttings. I want to try and root them, see what happens. And I think at the time of this video, I had noticed that most, if not all of them, were starting to grow roots, which was really exciting. That was my Hoya Bella. These are cuttings from my Hoya Crinkles Tinkles, I think is how you say that. I got that Hoya from Coco Ranch Hoya online. And yeah, they're all rooting fairly well, I'd say. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do with these. I might bring them to the meetup at Tonkadale in March for the plant swap. Some of them I might save. This guy, one of my bush Hoyas, or my Hoya Cumingiana, I noticed was rooting, which I was super excited about. This plant also wasn't doing so hot. It was one I had to cut the root system off to try and salvage. So I was pretty pleased with this, with the progress. Everybody has roots. And then moving on, this guy, he was probably one of my first Hoya I ever got. I got him off of Etsy. Not really sure about the quality of the seller. This plant has not done well. This is my Peperomia prostrata, my string of turtles, and he's doing pretty good. I'm pointing out some new growth in the video there, and he is really tough. I'm still working out the watering. I think I finally figured it out because he's doing a lot better. And then moving on, I'm going a little fast here. So these cuttings are also plants that I'm trying to rehabilitate a little bit. I have one Hoya rotundiflora, I think it is. Really not doing so great. Struggling quite a bit. So I took it out of soil, got it in water, just to see if it would do a little bit better. And then it's sharing a terrarium with this mystery Hoya or Dischidia. I'm not really sure what it is. It came in a plant delivery. It was a surprise extra cutting from an Etsy seller, and I rooted it and it took root. So I'm gonna eventually get it planted up and see what it turns into. But so far I haven't been able to identify that one. So this is kind of the setup for my living room slash, well, I guess it's office slash breakfast bar dining room area. Oh, him. That's my starfish Sansevieria. I named him Facehugger. He's fine in the corner. Okay, here is my office area where I film my YouTube videos. I have a snake plant right here, a Sansevieria. I think it's a Robusta. And then I have my Calathea. I have two Calathea rufibarbas, and then I have a Calathea lancifolia, rattlesnake Calathea. They love their humidity. They need to be away from radiators. So far, they're okay by that window. It's a north-facing window. I have a Hoya nummularioides here that I am rehabilitating, trying to reroot. And then I also have a ZZ Raven. This is my ZZ Raven I featured in one of my unboxing videos. Love the new growth there. It's doing really well. It's already turning black. Super exciting. And then I have a Peperomia cubensis. These are cuttings that I took off my main cubensis. I'm growing another plant basically from cuttings. Then I have my first terrarium I ever built. This is a fully planted terrarium. So I have my humidity loving, or I guess humidity needing plants in this terrarium. I have a silver ribbon fern in there. I have a white Fittonia, And then I have a heartleaf fern and also a miniature begonia. And they just stay in there. All right, so moving from my kitchen to my main living space, I have a cast iron plant. I got this guy at Tonkadale. I highly, highly recommend you pick up a cast iron plant if you are able. They are awesome. They do fantastic in low light. They don't need humidity. They just sit there and look pretty. They grow. They are just gorgeous alternatives to some of those bigger floor plants that need a lot of light. They just hang out and look gorgeous. And there is a very sleepy and slightly cranky hound dog. I'm disturbing her nap. Not happy. Anyway, back to the cast iron plant. Yeah, I cannot recommend those enough. Just love them. And then there's a quick glimpse of my main peperomia setup, but first I wanted to show you my ZZ Raven, or no, not my ZZ Raven. I already showed you my ZZ Raven. This is my main ZZ plant, and oh yeah, face hugger pups. But anyway, back to the ZZ. Yeah, moving forward, don't know what that was about. Here is my main peperomia setup, and then I also have a couple other plants hanging out on this table. It's a north-facing window, but it's pretty dark. It's under an overhang, so I do have a supplemental grow light there. This setup off to the side, getting some lower indirect light. I have a bird's nest fern, a crocodile fern, which I love. Love the texture on that leaf. Just very, very cool. And then my big peperomia scandens. So I have two scandens. I have both the green version, which is this one. I also have the variegated version. I think I got both of my scandens from Josh's Frogs online. But yeah, that's a pretty prolific grower. Very much has grown since I got this one. And now that I'm saying that, I think I got this green scandens from Steve's Leaves, if I'm not mistaken. This is my main peperomia cubensis. I took the cuttings from off that other plant. I might replant those into this main one. We'll see. And then over here, this is my 20-year-old heartleaf philodendron named Phil. I've had this guy. He was my first plant I think I've ever owned. We've had our ups and downs. He's doing great now. Next to him, I have a Philodendron Brazil, which is also growing like crazy. I have this vining tendril here. It's just reaching into other plants. I'm probably going to either have to hang this one soon or get him a trellis as well so he can climb. But yeah, both the philodendrons love this part of the house in front of that north-facing window. Doing great. The grow light definitely helps, though. I've noticed that with Minnesota winters. It's kind of a necessity. I have my peperomia Hope here, which is doing phenomenal. Growing away. All of those top points, those growth points are new since the winter, which is pretty cool. It just keeps growing. Kind of dusty. This was before I dusted and did some of my weekly winter plant care, so apologies there. Then I have this felt-leafed peperomia, my peperomia incana, which is one of my favorites. I love this plant so much. The leaves are velvet, just absolutely delightful. And all of the points that I'm kind of referring to in this video up top, those tall ones, those are new. It's new growth since I got the plant. So it has grown a ton. Moving up, here is my peperomia scandens variegata. Looking a little sad in this video. This was before I watered it, so it's a little bit droopy. But this one, I originally wanted it to be a hanging plant, and it decided it wanted to climb, so I decided to let it go for what it wanted to do, and that's what it did. It's climbing up the trellis or up the pot hanger. And then this guy is my Peperomia clover, which has also been the happiest since I moved it in front of this window as a hanging plant. I've had this one in a few different places trying to find the right spot for it. And I think this is the winner. I think the window is where it's at. And then this is my regular Peperomia caperata. I think this is the green emerald version. It's blooming. This is the second time it's bloomed for me since I've gotten it. And yeah, this has gotten sizably or noticeably bigger since I brought it home. Very, very happy about that. Not quite sure why the bottom leaves are changing color. Might have to look into that a little bit, but still growing. This is my Peperomia elongata I got from Steve's Leaves. I love this one. This is another favorite of my Peperomia, and finally is starting to put out new growth. I've had this thing since probably May and haven't seen anything from it. It hasn't done a thing until recently, which winter is the growing season for Peperomia, so that's exciting. I'm really excited to see what that does and how that grows. Yeah, that's another favorite. Oh yeah, that was my bad. I completely annihilated one of its leaves accidentally. Then I have, moving on, this is my marbled Peperomia obtusifolia. Very cool. Flowering also. I think this one's been flowering since I got it, which is great. I won't complain. The leaves are really cool. A lot of the new leaves are coming in super variegated, so that's neat. We'll see kind of what that does. Yeah, but I like that one a lot. That's probably my favorite leaf right there. And then this one is my Peperomia obtusifolia variegata green edge. So I know some variegated obtusifolias grow in where the yellow variegation is on the outside. This one has a green edge to it. Not really sure what the specific differences are in terms of growing them, or if there's a different name for this one, but I just know it as the green edge variegated obtusifolia. And then I have a few other non-Peperomia plants on this table. This is a jungle cactus. This is a Rhipsalis. I believe it's the Bassifera, and then subspecies Horrida. It looks like a nightmare tarantula, but it is growing new extensions or new fingers, I guess. These are all new that I'm pointing out. So it'll kind of branch out and then hang down. Once it gets a little bit longer, I will probably consider hanging this up. But I'm excited to see these little branches on it. That's brand new. The growth is new, relatively new within the last month or so, which is pretty cool. And then next to that one, I have a jungle cactus. This one, I believe, is an epiphyllum. I think it's a monstrose variety. I'd have to look into what the specific name of this plant is. I think I have a little label in there. I just can't remember right now, but I'll post it on the screen below. But this one's really cool too. I got it because it looked like something from the deep, dark nightmare ocean, those Jules Verne novels. I love weird looking plants. I can't get over the weird ones. I want to collect as many as possible. And this one also has new growth that kind of branches out from those original growth points. I'm kind of pointing that out in the video here. So that will also be one that hangs down and gets cool and twisty and gnarly. So this is my main living room setup. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed part one of my houseplant tour. It's obviously the next day, Saturday, February 8th. I am hopefully going to get that video up shortly after filming this. It's really amazing what a little sleep and a little coffee and a shower will do for somebody and their perspective on life. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Part 2's coming soon. What I am going to do today is hopefully get that video up, but first I'm going to Tonkadale with my mom. Yay, that's always fun. And then I'm going to film part 2. So until next time, enjoy your plants.